To me, DXA is about trust and consistency. So like a clean, quote unquote, clean site doesn't mean it's just means fast. It means that there's no broken flows, there's no unexpected friction, and it's just a reliable experience every time. That's not always possible. That's a goal that we always strive for.
Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Toolbox, Expert's Perspective. Today we have a friend of the show, a friend of Noibu, Matt Ezyk. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, we got a whole bunch of topics we want to get through today. So first off, always like to let the guest reintroduce themselves. I've had you on before, but for those that maybe missed it, if you wanted to do kind of just a quick 30, 60-second overview of your career and how you ended up leading engineering at Hanna Andersson.
Yeah, so I've worked in e-commerce my whole career on the technology and the product side. I came to Hanna because I love challenges that really sit at the intersection of engineering and customer experience and business performance. I was previously at a pet retailer called Pet Supermarket, where I was also a Noibu customer, and I had the chance to build an e-commerce function there from the ground up, which was super fun. So I led product and engineering, merchandising, marketing there, and it had startup energy that was something I really wanted to bring to a heritage brand like Hanna. So here, like the mandate I have is pretty clear. It's like we need to make our e-commerce stack faster, more flexible, more connected to how customers actually shop. And that's what I really enjoy, where engineering is really going to move the needle.
Yeah, maybe talk to us a bit about, obviously you've been in a couple different brands. When you think of like Hanna Andersson in particular, you're kind of now leading the engineering squad. It's like a digital first, but it's also like a heritage brand where it's been around for a while. Like, maybe talk to us a bit about some of the unique challenges. Maybe you came into some more legacy architecture, and now you're having to switch it up to modernize it to be able to hit business goals. Maybe talk to us a bit about how it was joining more of a call it a heritage business.
Yeah. So yeah, at Hanna, like I mentioned, I oversee engineering for e-commerce and customer experience, everything from storefront to cart, checkout, integrations, and performance. And we're still on Site Genesis, which is the old monolithic commerce cloud e-commerce experience, right? So it's something that we need to modernize selectively, right? I don't want to take the old playbook where you kind of build a new site and then you launch everything all at once. So we're building modern components and releasing them as they're completed instead of waiting to build the entire site. So we're introducing, all these new things like a new CMS and layering in new ESP and all these new tools that are really going to help us build a great technical foundation for the business, and then will put us in a great position to grow it.
No, I love hearing that. Maybe talk to us more specifically, like what are some of the earliest things you looked at? You and I talked a lot about big bang projects versus not big bang projects and kind of more of iterative projects. So talk to us a bit about, hey, when you came in, what did you observe? What were the business objectives, and how you kind of took a lot of your experience to fold into something where it's going to reduce the risk of the business, basically.
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's a pragmatic approach, right? We're instead of jumping into being fully composable, we're incrementally modernizing, the parts of the stack that are going to drive the most value, right? So we look at things like checkout and how is it designed? How is the performance of it? What's the kind of tech debt that's been living in there that we need to address as we're going in there? So thinking of it surgically, right? Like we're already you're under the knife, and what can we fix while we're under there as we're going through the replatform? And going the headless approach, but then building the roadmap to being fully composable as we're rolling out these components. So our goal really is to keep working at this and replace the things that limit us.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. Can you get into specifics? I don't want to have you give away too much of the secret sauce, but
Yeah.
What exactly, like, how are you thinking about it a bit more tactically, whether it's tech stacks, technology? Yeah, as specific as you want to get.
Yeah, I can't talk too many specifics, but really looking at things that are API first, that we're building with microservices, and that will give us the ultimate flexibility so we can really pick and choose our own destiny, right? So any best in breed tool that we want to plug into this new system, we can do it. I've built the engineering team internally to be able to handle this, and because I think that's the biggest hurdle for people that want to go composable or headless, is that it makes a lot of sense conceptually, but you need to have an internal team that can support it. Otherwise, once you're on this new site, you're putting your business at a ton of risk, because it's not like a Shopify or something like that, where you have this monolith and it's very simple to add apps and the theme designers, right? Those are great for smaller businesses, but enterprise businesses is a different ball game, right? So you have to have the internal team to support it when it goes live. Otherwise, when you're looking to make updates or make fixes, and especially when you use a tool like Noibu and you detect tech debt and all these other things that you need to address, you're just not going to have the team to handle that. So it's really important to have that kind of organizational discipline to understand that before you embark on that journey.
Yeah, and maybe talk to us a bit about, obviously you worked at different businesses. You actually come from the agency world. So you kind of were part of that era where a lot of people were outsourcing effectively their technology development, road mapping, and a lot of those things to agencies. Do you feel like there's like a shift to pulling it back in? I mean, I feel like this is almost like a religious debate in certain respects, but obviously you have your opinions now. Like, having been on both sides of the fences, like, what do you think the right answer is? And obviously it's probably not unilaterally the same
Yeah,
answer for everybody, but yeah.
I get that question a lot, and it's definitely interesting having seen both sides of it. I kind of operate our technology business like an agency, because I've operated in agencies. And I think there's a lot of businesses, especially smaller ones, that just don't have the budget or the chops to be able to do a lot of the things that like we can do at Hanna, or things that I did at Pet Supermarket. And that's okay, right? You have to find the right partner that is going to help you, right? Some of the SIs are just really just looking to do staff aug, and that works great for us, because we already have the technical leadership here that is making the decisions of what we need to do and kind of setting the roadmap. But a lot of businesses that I worked with on the SI side, they just really relied on me to just own all of it, and I enjoyed doing that, like the strategy, um, when it came to both building and growing e-commerce business, and also the technical strategy of how to handle technical debt and releases and process. Uh, so a lot of the companies I worked with on the SI side just had nothing, and they were starting from scratch. And I feel that there's a lot of SIs out there that kind of struggle with that, right? They're just looking for those staff aug deals, and a lot of brands fall into that, and they're like, okay, we need an engineer. Great, we got one now, but now what do we do, right? Um, how do we like how do we follow a process? What are we doing? Do we assimilate to the SI's process? Do we have some sort of hybrid? It's really tricky. So I think there's some SIs out there that have um, these roles that I've always been a big fan of, and I've created in different SIs that I've worked at, called like a client partner or client executive, where you really, people that have been on both sides of the fence, definitely the brand side, that can say like, hey, like I've been through this, I built this. Here's what you need to do. Here's how we can partner, and it just really builds a sticky relationship that will drive brands that are in their infancy to success, I think.
Very cool. And you've written a lot about, and you and I have actually chatted about this, like, hey, AI teams shouldn't jump into AI just because it's trendy. Where have you seen AI useful, whether it's within your team as an operational tool, or for your actual digital experience?
Yeah, I think there's a few things you need. You need to have clean, connected customer data, right? And lots of brands struggle with that. It's not easy. It's a very difficult thing to have clean data. Um, but if you're not at a point where you have that, it's really challenging to bring in AI tools, because you're training them on your data, right? So I've worked with AI for decades now, but it was pred AI, and you can't do product recommendations with pred AI unless you have all of your data that you can feed it to. So that's number one, right? You need to have a strong performance baseline, right? And that's a discipline that I've really helped build here at Hanna, where everything we do is rooted in site performance. So if we're bringing in a new tool or a new strategy with A/B testing, we're constantly looking at that. So, and this is also applying to AI tools, right? So if you're running some sort of test or you're using some new tool and it brings down your site performance, that's eroding the foundation that you build from a technical perspective. Super important, right? Um, and lastly, like AI, as we know, it's a very big buzzword. I can't wake up 1 second without going online and seeing someone talking about AI, but it's got to solve a clear business problem, right? If you're missing that, it's just a distraction. It's not a solution.
Makes sense, and that's a pretty good segue into engineering as a business driver. Uh, Obviously, you guys have taken the approach, you're an enterprise business, that you need engineering to drive business outcomes. So yeah, you've mentioned that engineering teams need to think more of like a CFO or a CMO and not just kind of engineering. What does that practice look like at Hanna Anderson, and how have you kind of brought some of that mojo into the business?
Yeah, I really looked immediately to kind of bridge that gap between the technical teams and the business teams, and there's always going to be some sort of gap there, but really it's understanding why we're doing the work. So I help my team understand that as well, because it helps you be more connected into the purpose of what you're doing. Like if we're building some component for a new site, what does that mean for our customers? How does that make their shopping experience great and then keep them spending more? What kind of metrics do the business use to monitor success, right? So I think it connects all of the technical folks to the purpose of what we're doing, and it just gives them more fulfillment of what they're doing with their job. But also it really proves to the business that we want to truly be good partners to them. Technology is not something that you build just for technology's sake. You're building it for a business purpose, and that's usually to be more profitable and drive top line, et cetera. So what I meant by that is to really understand what the challenges and goals are from a financial perspective and a marketing perspective, and tie those into some of the technical goals, mainly page speed, right? Page speed is one of the biggest ones, right? And I think I have everyone bought in at this org on page speed, and how if we do anything that degrades it, we're going to lose conversion, we're going to increase abandonment. That's I think another thing too is, like, if we're upgrading systems, the business and technical teams need to hold hands on what that does, right? It's going to, let's say it unlocks marketing efficiency or improves lifetime value. Really just driving home the point that we're there to support the business. That's the whole reason for us being there, right? And I want to bridge that gap as much as possible.
Very cool. Do you feel like you need to hire a certain type of engineer that is going to align with that type of methodology um, on your team, or do you feel like every engineer is kind of more or less aligned by default to that?
Um, it's definitely, especially as an individual contributor, it's definitely easy to get caught up in the weeds with what you're doing day to day, right? I think it's not really something that you hire for. It's like, I think everyone inherently understands that, but I try to help my teams understand it more by saying, like, okay, like, there's this is especially important when there's an issue, right? So if there's an issue, and sometimes technical teams, they're like, well, that doesn't seem like a big deal, right? It's just like a report or something like that. It's like not like the site's down. But those reports sometimes can lead to strategy, or often lead to strategy decisions, right? And that can really have a ripple effect on how we're spending our marketing dollars and all these different things. So again, tying it to the purpose of what we're doing is so critical. And I think that is an unlock for a lot of technical people to really understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then also just find purpose and happiness in their day-to-day jobs.
I love hearing all about that. You attended our most recent customer meetup where we kind of talked about the widening of our platform, where traditionally people think of us as an error monitoring tool, and we're really trying to diversify into other areas: performance, digital experience, UI, UX. How does your team think about digital experience and how that kind of relates to conversion on the website, right? So things kind of think of all things non-technical now, right? Where we're not
Yeah.
talking about bugs, we're not talking about logs, we're not talking about core web vitals and how things load on the website. We're talking just straight up like user journeys and customer experience.
Yeah, to me, DXA is about trust and consistency. So, like a clean, quote unquote, clean site doesn't mean it's just mean it's fast. It means that there's no broken flows, there's no unexpected friction, and it's just a reliable experience every time. That's not always possible. That's a goal that we always strive for. So I really look at our site like a store, like we do, or at least I do personally, a weekly walkthrough, and I have my QA team do regression testing and sweeps of the stores to check to make sure that everything's working as expected, especially as we're changing critical parts of the checkout flow and or just the customer journey in particular. So it's an operational discipline.
For those listening here, that might have some disconnect between their marketing, product, and engineering teams and customer experience, like how have you built in either some rituals, or do you have any kind of advice, thoughts, or feedback on how they can help really drop those silos?
Yeah, I like to join marketing meetings. And at first, I think a lot of businesses, they're like, what is this guy doing here? Especially when I'm in a role that's solely on the technical side, because you often see technical people in those meetings when there's an issue that they're trying to solve and they're trying to understand it. I like to be more proactive as a leader where I built this discipline around site speed and I'm reporting what we're doing with it, and it affects everything that we're doing from a marketing perspective. And I really enjoy being in those meetings because I want to learn about what we're doing, what our strategies are, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what are some insights and actions that we're taking. And then that helps me understand if there is an issue. Well, I already know that the marketing team is doing this experiment and that may have changed something with the site. And it gives me more insight of what we're doing so we can react to help them and be proactive, right? And after a while, that's going to create that stickiness between the two groups.
No, I think that's a really, really, really great piece of feedback. And especially because there's obviously been so many changes on third party cookies, and they're probably adding tags, removing tags all the time. I think you and I chatted a lot about how there's third party tags that also have kind of third party tags. So it's a bit
Right.
inception, and people could make changes on your website without you even touching anything. Um, how do you feel like your teams are responding to potential changes in ecom traffic? So something that I recently spoke to an executive at one of the top three platforms, and they were saying that they're seeing the referral traffic um, change for the portfolio, and they have
Yep.
tens of thousands of websites on their platform, and they were saying that a lot more traffic is coming from Claude, ChatGPT, the different LLMs. Are you guys seeing a decrease or change in traffic? You don't have to get into specific numbers, but how are you guys thinking about that? Like, and how people are maybe now searching for products, and how that's potentially evolving?
Yeah, this has been something I've been interested in for years since uh, ChatGPT first came on the scene, and I've been doing a lot of testing with that. Absolutely, I think there's obviously going to be a change with third party cookies and the rise of this AI driven search. I use it all the time, right? And now I'm even as a consumer, I'm going into stores and using ChatGPT with the video feature and pointing it at products and asking it which one I should buy, right? This is just going to become more and more of a table stakes for consumers. So it's I think every brand is facing this now, but a lot of them may not even realize it's happening as quickly as it is. So really, brands in general, not just us, I think everyone is looking how we can double down on first party data, um, identity resolution. How do we clean up product and content data so we're more AI search friendly, and really trying to understand how we can become more discoverable in natural language queries, not just in keyword searches. It's like blending the lines of or blurring the lines of SEO. And I think a lot of SEOers are leaning into this too, which is really cool.
No, very, very cool. Awesome, Matt. Well, appreciated the chat. Pretty awesome. Really, really enjoyed our time. And yeah, Always like catching up with you. Let me know if you have any additional things that you want to say before we part off. But thanks again for another fantastic episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be the topic we just talked about. I'm going to be speaking at ETAIL next week about that topic of conversational search and AI assistance and how product discovery is working. So it's, like I said, it's a passion project for me to look at over the years that AI has been, or generative AI has been a thing. And I'm excited to talk about it and also learn from other retailers to see how they're exploring this new frontier that we're about to embark in.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. We'll chat again soon. Appreciate it.
Okay. Take care.
The E-commerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives is brought to you by Noibu. To find out more about Noibu and how we can help you debug your e-commerce site and rocket your revenue, visit www.noibu.com. That's Noibu.com. And then make sure to search for the E-commerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Noibu, thanks for listening.